Welcome back. Former President Jacob Zuma is challenging a year-old personal cost order against him. This, a day after the High Court ruled Zuma must reimburse the state. It found he litigated on a ludicrous scale in criminal proceedings and fees paid by government should be recovered. Erin Bates is covering the story for us. She joins us now live in studio. Erin, so let's put it into context. Tell us exactly which costs the president is now challenging.
So this matter is distinct from the order we had yesterday in the High Court, which relates to criminal prosecutions, the charges of fraud, racketeering and money laundering that the former president faces, which were sort of culled and then, rekindled from the ashes repeatedly. The judgment, or the application today, which is now before the Supreme Court of Appeal, is over an order from the 13th of December 2017, and that stemmed from his challenge of the remedial action in the Public Protector's State of Capture report. He said he wanted to address pertinent issues, constitutional issues about the separation of powers, and the court found that there was not merit in that application and then lumped him with a personal costs order for bringing forward that case. And that's the personal cost order that he's now taking to the Supreme Court of Appeal, and he wants it overturned.
All right, let's take a listen to that judgment.
We are of the view that the president was ill-advised and reckless in launching the challenge against the remedial action of the public protector. His court challenge has resulted in further delaying the resolution of the state capture allegations.
Yeah, so tell us about what the former president is arguing as to why that decision was wrong.
So we have about 140 pages in this application for leave to appeal, and some of the opposition parties now need to decide whether or not they're going to oppose it. They have about a month in order to do so. But the general gist of the argument, from what I've been able to skim read today, and it seems that the papers were filed this afternoon, just before the end of the court calendar year, is that he was addressing pertinent and burning constitutional questions. So that he had a right, and in fact almost a duty, to interrogate whether or not it was fair for the public protector to say to him he had a conflict of interests over establishing a commission of inquiry into allegations of state capture, and therefore his appointing of a head of that commission should be outsourced to the Chief Justice Mogoeng, as happened. He's also disputed the argument that because he made a presidential statement and answered a question in Parliament indicating he would establish the commission of inquiry, that he'd kind of indicated that was going to happen, and he didn't really have a grievance with the public protector instructing him to do so. And Shahan, if you go back through our archives at eNCA to the former president's initial statements on the public protector's report back in October of 2016, when he tried to block its release, he was adamant from the get-go that she was out of line in telling him what to do and who to appoint or not appoint to head up the commission.
And very quickly, Erin, does it have any implications on the current order that we heard yesterday?
Well, what's so interesting about this is, one, that it indicates an attitude around litigation. The former president is not someone to take defeat lying down. He's someone with a big appetite for going to court and challenging matters as far as possible, which is why in this case, over the public protector's report, which failed in the High Court earlier this year, he's now gone to the Supreme Court of Appeal. He's not someone who takes defeat lying down. The other thing that's critical is that now that he's facing a massive lawyer's bill for the criminal prosecution that he's had since before even 2009, when we heard from Ramaphosa the state was paying these amounts of over 15 million rand. That's now a big cost that he faces. Government is no longer signing that check for him. He has to reimburse the state. And here in the public protector case, there's another Damocles hanging over him that he needs to pay personally for that litigation. So it's possible that what he's trying to do here is save money on the one front because it's going to need to be paid on the other.
Yeah, it's a smart thing to do. Thanks so much for that. Appreciate it. Erin.